Welcome back. Let's do chapter 3, the good times. When he wasn't around, we had good times. He had a full-time job, so we had a regular schedule of time without him. The longer he was away from home, the better the sisters behaved. The sisters knew how to work together when we needed to. Mom had irregular jobs, so she could earn money before we could leave. She had no choice but to leave us at home. Sometimes we had a babysitter, and sometimes the oldest sister was in charge. Most times, I just remember it being the three sisters playing outside or creating havoc inside. When Mom had a job, she would call home to let us know she was on her way back to the house. Whichever daughter answered the phone would alert the other two sisters. 5-minute warning was shouted and echoed. All sisters would race to clean the house and get rid of the evidence of our shenanigans. We thought we did a good job, but I'm positive she knew exactly what we had been doing. Children with lots of energy will wrestle to get rid of energy. At least that's what we did. Together, we gathered sleeping bags and pillows to create a living room-sized mat. Each daughter would have a corner they had to start at before crawling to the middle. Two sisters would wrestle as the other was referee. I do not remember who thought of the game, but I usually won. If we had a babysitter, it was an older girl from the neighborhood, and it was her fault all three daughters became addicted to watching Days of Our Lives for years. It was a tradition to watch in our parents' room laying on our parents' bed. When the oldest sister made food, she made things like green eggs and ham. She would add food coloring to our scrambled eggs. One time, I told her there was no such thing as too much cheese on a grilled cheese. She proved me wrong. We melted crayons in our kitchen pots, and we melted plastic bowls in our microwave. Lunch was at the same time as Days of Our Lives. We would watch in our parents' room, so the food would be brought into the bathroom on the same floor. Kool-Aid was our drink of choice. As usual, I got in an argument with the oldest sister. While we argued in the bathroom, I poured the pitcher of red Kool-Aid over my sister's head and down her white shirt. Sisters can be a blessing or a curse. All siblings fight and get revenge. This is how children learn what is too far. The oldest sister was arguing with the middle sister. It was a rare occurrence when the second sister's upset. She didn't hold back. While the second sister was kneeling and refusing to leave the first sister's bedroom, the middle sister put her hand out in defiance of the first sister. The first sister was threatening to pee on the kneeling sister if she didn't move. The middle sister got peed on. The middle sister was always the most creative. To take pictures, there was no digital screen or a preview of the pictures before they got developed at the store. And without her sisters knowing, the middle sister took several partial pictures of their bare butts. After the pictures were printed, she created a book of partial butts until the very last page. The last page was the grand reveal of a full moon. I'm shocked we didn't get hurt or burn the house down. We did play games we called Fire Station. Everyone playing got a bowl of water, a pile of napkins, a tongue depressor to wrap the napkin around, and a candle. The game was to light your napkin on fire, hold it as long as possible, and then drop it into the bowl of water. We never missed the bowls, which is a good thing because we did not have a backup plan or a fire extinguisher. There was a day my mom was taking a nap on the couch in the living room, and we wanted toast, but we didn't want the toaster to wake up our mom. Our plan was to move the toaster to the basement. When the toast was finished, the toaster popped and caused the fire alarm directly above the toaster to blare. Mom woke up and we apologized profusely. The living room also became a stage. My favorite cassette tapes were the soundtracks to The Lion King and Pocahontas. I would force my parents to sit on the couch and watch me dance the entire tape, both sides. Sister competition would inspire the oldest sister to also force my parents to sit as she did her own version of interpretive dance. My love for dramatic dance wasn't allowed to flourish. My love of soundtracks began. It would take me 30 years to figure out all of my favorite music was created by the same person. Winter memories are dominated by the hill in our backyard. Walking out the back door, there was a concrete patio that connected to our driveway. The driveway shape was a large upside down L. We had a double car detached garage a stone's throw away from our back door. Walking straight out of the back door towards the garage would also lead you to a short staircase from the driveway to our backyard hill. Our father would shovel snow and we would kind of help. Dad would pile snow over the steps so it became a launching spot for sledding. The goal was to get to the bottom of the hill, but stop before you hit the thistle bushes. It was awesome to go to the bottom, but a hassle to pull the thistles out of your hat, scarf, and mittens. When our snow gear would get too wet and cold, we would lay it on the heater in the kitchen. We would stay out as long as possible. We didn't care how cold we got. Part of our backyard was fenced off for the pool. The pool is where I spent most of my birthdays. All three daughters learned to swim in that pool. Our cousins and friends came to swim. Dad would throw us across the large oval with big splashes. There was a large deck that was level with the top of the pool. The deck wrapped almost halfway around the pool and shared a wall with the garage. If we needed to go to the bathroom, we even had a pee spot so we didn't track water inside. Showing off for a friend, the oldest sister decided to climb over the gate leading to the pool. On her way down, she caught her pants and underwear ripping large holes as gravity pulled her down. The pool was what we looked forward to in the summer. We all loved that pool. One day we came home and the pool had been removed. There had been no conversation. There had been no warning that this drastic change was going to happen. We didn't understand what happened besides we lost something. All three sisters were devastated and angry their father made this choice. The pool was taken down in secret on purpose. The space became an empty oval that was useful only for growing weeds that rarely got mowed. The deck now became a hazard because of the 4-foot drop. Something we loved had been ripped away, and we had the ghostly reminder to look at for years. If the sun was shining, we were outside. If it was drizzling, we were probably still outside. My hair was as white as snow because the sun would bleach it. Purple iris flowers, red tulips, and pink roses grew in front and along the side of the house. When my cousin would destroy the flowers, I got very angry with him. I was protective of nature from a young age. One year, I incurred my father's anger when I took a tool and dug out all of the weeds and their root in the front yard. I left large holes where the weeds once were. I knew I had to get the root or it would grow back. I don't know how I knew that. My love for nature was overlooked. There was a spot in the yard that was only dirt. I would add water and squish my toes in the mud. I would tie skirts around my ankles while I played on the slip and slide pretending to be a mermaid. I was obsessed with the Little Mermaid. I would sit and sing on the top of the monkey bars pretending I was Ariel. Our neighborhoods started out full of kids. Every daughter had a handful of children in the neighborhood to play with. It was normal to bike around for hours, bouncing from friend's house to friend's house. There was no such thing as a cell phone. Home phones required a person be home. It was not uncommon to talk to my friends' parents asking if my friends could come out and play. Our house was the center of attention for kids. The oldest sister would organize puppet shows that all three sisters were required to participate. There would be a script and a stage. We would drag bookshelves and blankets outside to create stages with levels. We used tomatoes one year, and at the end, all tomatoes died and threw up their seeds. There was a park down the street where we would bike to and stay for hours. We would ride our bike in circles around the neighborhood. All three sisters tried riding a banana seat at the same time. Not surprising, we fell. The worst fall was taken by our oldest sister. I was at home while the two sisters rode to the park with friends. The second sister came back alone and upset to get mom. The first sister had been looking backwards while the second sister was chasing her on the bike. While looking backwards, her front tire hit the curb, causing her to be flung forward over the bike onto the ground. She was hurt badly and needed stitches. That would not be the last time she would get hurt at the park. Years later, the same sister would hurt her chin falling down a ladder at the park, requiring stitches again. There was a little hill in the neighborhood where downtown Chicago could be seen on a clear day. The hill had a steep slope that led to a metal fence. The metal fence surrounded a truck parking lot. There was a Jewel Osco warehouse that operated behind the fence and hidden by nature. As kids, we spent hours standing on that hill, surrounded by lilac trees, trying to get the truckers to see us and honk. When I got upset and wanted to run away, I would go hide at that hill. The small hill I sat on was at the top of a large hill that ended many blocks down at a busy street, at least 2 stop signs away. Going up this hill in the neighborhood was exhausting. Turning left from our street onto our street from the top of the hill resulted in many falls as we learned how to control our speed downhill while turning at the same time. Summer nights were filled with catching lightning bugs and trying to find stars. We felt safe as we ran around between our houses and our aunt's house freely. Our door was unlocked while we played because we all went in and out constantly. The worse my sister OCDs got, the more she had to ensure all locks were locked at night. I still have dreams that I'm back at that house, pulling up into the driveway, walking into a house full of family members celebrating my birthday as a child. Toys made me happy. I knew how to guilt my mom into getting me whatever toy I wanted. Barbies dominated my life. I had a red convertible that could change from 2 seats to 4. I had Cinderella's carriage and horses. My Barbie house was given to me from my cousins. I begged for that 3-piece house that was 2 levels. I would bring one of the pieces of the house into the shower with me and pretend the house was flooding. I would play Barbies in the basement, in my room, and in the bathroom. I played Barbies with my friends and by myself. I had every Kelly doll ever made. I had the original crib, stroller, toilet, and tub. I cherished the 1996 Olympic Barbies that had moving wrists and ankles because that was new. I had an impressive collection of littlest pet shops. I had 2 full caboodles and a jungle farm. I had SeaWorld. I loved taking care of my fake animals and reorganizing them in their homes. I would drag all my toys with me when I had to sit in the waiting room for a sister's doctor's appointment. I always brought my toys with me. They were like a security blanket to me. And of course, there was always competition between me and my oldest sister. We each wanted what the other had and were never satisfied. Sharing was difficult for us and usually ended in fights. It was better for us to play apart. Christmas is the holiday I remember the most. We were either at home or sleeping at our aunt's house. When we put the tree together, each sister had to take turns in rotation to be lifted up by Dad high enough to place the star on top of the tree. I would use the cat's claws to scratch wrapping paper until I could see what my present was. There was a New Year's Eve that I had a plan. For months, I cut paper into little bits. I filled a 40-gallon plastic container with newspaper I had cut into tiny bits. At midnight, my sisters and I flipped the container into the air and then on the floor. I have no idea how or why my mother agreed to let us do this, and I don't remember cleaning up. I created many messes on the living room floor. I was not allowed to have cheese puffs for many years. On accident, my little foot stepped on a cheese ball and squished it into the whitish carpet. My little ears were intrigued by the new sound, and my little brain decided it was a good idea to dump the rest of the cheese balls onto the carpet and step on them one by one. My mom was not happy with me. And one decision can change the direction of your life. For Easter, the tradition is that we got one big gift, like a basketball hoop, all three sisters could use. One year for Easter, our choices were a PlayStation or for rollerblades for each of us. Unanimously, the sisters decided we wanted to be active outside. To this day, I wonder if we had chosen PlayStation, would I be good at video games? The only video game I got to play with at friends' houses, this was Sonic. This is when Sonic was new and Donkey Kong was popular. Our family was not up to date on the news entertainment. We were lucky to listen to country music on the radio instead of Moody Bible Institute. Dad built a long rectangular shed that attached to the back of the garage. We could enter the shed through the door outside of the garage or through the back of the garage. With the shed attachment, the second sister figured out we could climb onto the shed roof, which allowed us to climb around the garage roof. We felt so cool sitting on that roof. No matter how many times our dad said not to be up there, we disregarded what he said. As a child, I knew no other house. I had been to my grandparents' house. I'd spent time at other people's houses. But where I slept at night, it was my only option. I only took naps in my bed and looked forward to my sleep. One of the best nights in the house was the first night after our father had moved out. It felt like 100-pound weight had been lifted off of our shoulders. It was as if a dark cloud was done blocking the sun from shining on us. We were liberated and spent the night cleaning and making the house a home. We felt safer. We didn't care that we were being watched by his sister as we celebrated and sang our hearts out as we cleaned. Every life has its bad days and good days. Even as a child, I knew we had more bad times than good. We loved our house like you love a pet. You have memories and you have emotional attachments. But we knew at some point it was time to go. At some point, the structure became not a home, but a place we were trapped. We could not grow inside the house. We could not grow inside the environment the house provided. All right, a few mistakes there, but I guess maybe we're getting better. Thank you for listening. Questions, comments, and concerns are welcome, but I'll just keep practicing. Thank you.